Greetings everyone, welcome back to Blade Bias. Diving back into Ted's collection for a 2-for-1 special, we are checking out two different replicants, and more using this as an excuse to talk about the replicant in general. Because the replicant is such a fascinating Balisong to me for so many different reasons, and I've never really had a proper way to talk about it, because I've never had, well, I can't say that I've never had, but I haven't really had some good time to spend with a rep and flip around for you guys so that we could talk about the rep. But really quickly, getting into the Balisongs that we do have in front of us here, Ted sent me a few details. This one on the left, the green one, is an NRB aluminum scale rehandle for the rep, which is really interesting because this is going back to, I think, before NRB was making all of his knives, sometime when he was messing around with some cool little replicant modding and stuff like that. And then on the right here, we have a Buffalo Dingus and Tormentum knives, I'm assuming collaboration. This is the Atrium Rep rehandle. Very, very cool stuff. I keep seeing this thing in the case and thinking it's a goose and getting really excited because I want to try a goose. I think I've tried a goose, but I want to try a goose again. But it flips really nice. I mean, really quickly, I guess we'll talk about these specific Balisongs before we get into what I want to talk about with the replicant. The green one is very blocky and very thick, but I don't hate it. The blade spine is really uncomfortable because of this sharp angle right here, and the nipple is not the greatest because it's kind of sharp there as well. Also, I'm assuming due to the fact that these are old design, not really chamfered, but the ends are very sharp. So if you are someone who holds your fans kind of high up or low down on the Balisong, I guess, your hands are not going to really like the end of those handles as you continue fanning. And because they're so big and chunky and blocky, doesn't really carry the most momentum. Your choker fans kind of get slowed down pretty quickly on that. But otherwise, I weirdly like this thing. I mean, it makes like an awesome noise, and it's just such a cool piece of history. As someone who does really enjoy all of NRB's knives that he's made and that I've been able to try, it's cool to be able to try a little piece of history like this and document it for you guys. Despite the fact that it maybe doesn't flip the greatest, but it still does flip pretty good. I mean, the balance is good. I would say it's like a slight handle bias neutral because it still does carry momentum on fans. It's really just the blockiness of the handles that gets in the way. And rollovers still perform well. But I think my favorite rep from this case is this one. This one flips really awesomely in like an old school kind of way. It's got that handle weight to it. It's got that really like, I don't think it is heavy, but it's got a heavier feel to it that makes it feel more substantial. It makes you feel like a bigger Balisong. It's kind of how Balisongs used to be. Balisongs used to be heavier and more handle bias, and they felt like more significant pieces of hardware that you pick up, as opposed to, you know, the 3.6 ounce tiny little Balisongs that not physically tiny, but they feel tiny compared to some of the older Balisongs that we get nowadays. You get that kind of new age versus old age flipping. And this really embodies that old age flipping to me, but without dragging down the experience in such a way that makes it not fun to flip for me. Because when you have an old school Balisong that flips kind of heavy and handle bias, you get sluggish and it kind of gets tough to flip, and I don't really like that. But this remains agile while still kind of feeling heavy. It's a really interesting experience because your fingers go to fan it or to throw some momentum for a rollover or something like that, and you're expecting it to take so much more force than it does, and it doesn't. It just kind of responds to what you want it to do, so I really like it. But the rep is so fascinating to me because it's kind of a one-of-a-kind Balisong. Like, to me, and maybe some old heads are going to come in and say, no, the 51 was like this too, or whatever the G10 Benchmade was. But to me, there hasn't really been a Balisong like the Replicant before or since the Replicant. a Balisong that is so universally modded that no two people can have the same one, it feels like. And no one, it feels like, owns one stock anymore. I mean, anyone who owns a Replicant will be happy to list the different mods and the different parts from different makers that they have used. And their Replicant really becomes a reflection of them. It's like your custom character in a video game, but in flipping. Whether you get spacers that make it less handle biased or more handle biased, or you get a blade that appeals to you more visually or balance wise, or you just get some fun pink heart scales. Like, everyone had, especially back in the day when I first started flipping, it felt like everyone had this dream rep that they were building towards, and that was just a really cool thing. I think we've seen a lot of Balisongs lately that have tried and ultimately failed to create this modding platform like the Replicant has. So many different Balisongs that come out and they're like, oh, you can change the scales, or we're going to make the spacers available so that you can make your own designs, and like we want this to happen, we want this to happen, or it's going to be like a modding platform, and none of them take off like the Replicant did. And granted, the Replicant has been out for far longer. It's been allowed to grow its mod and secondhand part catalog far greater. But man, the Rep is a really cool Balisong. To make a kind of cringe Fortnite reference, there was a period, I think I stopped playing before this happened, but there was a period of time where you would, in the Battle Pass, get like a skin that you could customize to your heart's content and really make it a reflection of you rather than some model that the developers put in and you just use it as intended and all that stuff. And the Replicant has always been that in Balisong form to me. I just think it's so cool that there's this one Balisong that so many people mod and change to their heart's desire, even though the original Balisong isn't the greatest. Because like I always say, if the original Balisong was any good, then people would keep them stock. Why would they mod them so much if the original was any good? Now, that's only half of a real argument, because yeah, I know the original Replicant doesn't actually flip that bad, but it's always been something funny where people are like, oh, the Replicant's an amazing Balisong. And I'm like, I agree with you, but if it flipped good in its base form, we wouldn't have so many custom and cool Replicants, right? Probably not. I mean, we might. Who knows? But always a fascinating thing for me to think about. And I do hope that maybe there's another Replicant that eventually comes to the scene. Something that's a little bit more modern, because it feels like all Replicants that I've tried have that old school flipping about them. And there have been a few that have broken this trend, considering how customizable they are, but it would be nice to see some new modding platform come to the scene that's maybe a little bit more accessible for the base variant, and then you can go crazy with your customization as your heart desires. But just a good, rare chance for me to rant about the Replicant. Thank you to Ted for letting me check out your Balisongs. Thank you to you guys for watching. And I'll see you in the next one. Later.